I'm Kelsey Probilski, a barbecue enthusiast and native Texan.
And I'm Jess Pryles, hardcore carnivore, live fire chef, and meat expert.
I've been all over Texas tasting some of the best barbecue in the state. But this time around, Jess is taking me beyond the pit to discover the people and places that make Texas barbecue so legendary. This episode, we're off to meet some innovative thinkers who are carrying Texas barbecue into the future.
From new school joints redefining barbecue to a feed yard using cutting-edge technology, these Texans are bringing cultures, flavors, and ideas together to push their industries forward.
We made our way to Dallas to Loro. With a menu chock full of unique fusion concepts, Jess and I couldn't wait to get a behind-the-scenes look at their latest creations.
So today we're going to build our Malaysian brisket curried rice.
I gotta hear the star of the dish here, right?
Yeah. So this is the flat part of the brisket. It's the less lean part. So for us here, we just come through and we do thinner cuts.
And for people who don't know, it's obviously Aaron Franklin's brisket recipe, right?
Yep.
This is like a legendarily cooked brisket. Does it hurt you even a little bit to have to chop it into tiny pieces?
No, because I'm turning it into something else that's great.
Perfect.
You know?
I love that.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in utilizing everything. You know, it's either cut it into small pieces and do this, or it gets wasted.
Right.
You know, this way we get to provide the brisket in many different forms. So the dish itself is a traditional Malaysian dish, right? It's a curried rice with lots of nuts and fruits. So we wanted to figure out how to take a dish that we felt very strongly about, that we wanted to show off, and kind of make it fit with both Aaron Franklin and Tyson Cole.
What do you think it is about smoked Texas brisket that pairs well with the Southeast Asian flavors?
You know, it's anytime you eat something heavy, like if you ever eat a really heavy dish, you always want something really nice afterwards, right? And so I just think it's the nice mix that you get there. Asian food, lots of acid and brightness and, herbs and everything else. So you have all of that kind of tossed in with the barbecue, and it just kind of all comes together into this really well-balanced dish. You have the chopped brisket, and then we have we call it sando sauce.
Oh, I can already...
Yeah, so you get the smell kind of right away.
And that brisket's like a sponge. It's just soaking up all that goodness.
So you have the curried rice, the seasoned brisket, a little bit of Szechuan salt, the peanut gastrique, and then we finish it off with some green onions. All right, guys, so I know you're excited to try everything. I wanted to introduce Chef Mike, our regional chef here at Loro.
How's it going, y'all?
I'm going good, honestly.
We're distracted by what's in front of us.
So we got our burger here. It's a chopped brisket that we use to grind, kettle corn with brisket burnt ends, and we have the Malaysian brisket rice, which is what we build over there together. And then we have our brisket plate, which is far from traditional.
Oh my God.
I know. You can't.
I saw the brief moment as she took the bite, and I was just waiting. So.
This is wild.
Could I just bother you for a moment to show you this?
Wow.
Yeah, that is awesome. So it's the trim from the brisket in the burger itself, and then a brisket jam on top of that.
Exactly.
So let's layer some beef with some beef.
Absolutely.
Why not?
I mean, that's all it needs to be layered with.
Yeah, I don't need convincing, honestly.
We're just clarifying.
It's super important for us as chefs to really utilize as much of the animal as we can. And so if we're getting the brisket, we've got the brisket trim. Again, it's going into the burger, it's going into the brisket jam. We use the flat for our chopped beef and our burnt ends, and then we're able to do a composed dish with the point. But we're able to have this tallow and have this gelée to really infuse and enrich all of the dishes as we're building these layers to make composed dishes.
You get people who come in here and expect it to be if Aaron Franklin's involved, it must be barbecue.
Well, there's always gonna be people that question what we're doing because it is different, right? And so with that, there has to be pioneers into it, and we took the collaboration, the education of our background, we introduced it to Aaron's style of, that Czech Central Texas style barbecue. And so it's important for us to educate our service team. Every single person in here understands the food that we're doing, so we're able to explain it because it can be confusing. Smokehouse, Asian, like Josh, we were talking earlier too. It's like, is it Korean barbecue? Like, is it like teppanyaki? Like, what do you mean Asian smoke? You know, so it's like really explaining and having that wherewithal as a team to be able to describe those things to our guests.
I think the food explains itself. It's nearly like you want to say like just shh.
Just eat it. Just eat this popcorn. Yes.
Don't think too much. You're not just shoving these things together. There's so much detail. The flavors really complement each other.
We want to be thoughtful and we want to respect tradition, right? We want to respect what Texas barbecue is, and we want to respect Asian ingredients and flavors.
You know, we both come from like high-end chef backgrounds, and you know, all those little details that we learned kind of along the way was just what we naturally expected the restaurant to be. So coming into this, we just kind of took our, you know, philosophies and how kitchens run and the standards and, you know, level of execution and just brought it into, you know, what we do at Loro and executing in the barbecue world.
And that's something Aaron did really well in his original restaurant, and sort of applied this idea of, I'm not going to take him off till it's ready, and if it's not right, I'm not going to serve it. And it makes sense to me that this is the next natural progression from that. Everything that you've served us today has been incredible and just full of flavor, and I'm so excited to see what else you add to the menu in future.
Thanks
We've got
for coming
2 taste testers here for the future, so.
Anytime.
We continued our search for more fusion flavors shaking up Texas barbecue. Next up, Blood Brothers in Houston. Their ever-changing menu incorporates Mediterranean, Asian, and Caribbean influences. This local favorite fits right in with a city known for its diverse restaurant scene.
It looks unbelievable. What are we eating?
So there in your hand, you have the brisket burn end steam buns. We take the burn ends off the brisket, smoke them, toss them in a hoisin barbecue sauce. Goes in the steam bun with pickled jicamas, cucumbers, and green onion. And those are the pho-rubbed beef belly spring rolls. Season the beef belly with it, smoke it, slice it real thin. We serve it cold.
This is phenomenal.
It's so fresh.
How did you guys get started?
So my brother and I were friends with Kui in middle school and high school. We'd hang out all through high school. Then around college, we probably lost touch, kind of reconnected when we had our karaoke bar in Midtown. And then started talking about barbecue, started getting into barbecue, and then between the three of us, we decided to open Blood Brothers.
Cool. Why did you name it Blood Bros?
I knew when we were coming up with this concept that the food that we were cooking, the way Kui would season the meats, was a little bit different than everyone else. There's a lot more heat, and there's a lot bolder of a flavor. So I figured, and I told Kui and Terry, I said, whatever we name ourselves, it's gotta be a name that's gonna really stand out, you know? So we just kept thinking and couldn't think of anything. And then I was just like, well, Terry's my actual blood brother, and we've known Kui since middle school. So I was like, what do y'all think of Blood Brothers? And they were both just like, that's it.
As soon as he dropped that name, we're like, yeah, that's perfect. It fits us, it's bold, it's in your face.
I'd love to learn more about where the fusion came from for y'all.
So we didn't start out like that. When we first started, I wanted to just do traditional Texas barbecue, you know, brisket, ribs, sausage. I didn't want to get pigeonholed into that, hey, these guys are just Asian guys doing Asian barbecue or whatnot. So after we thought what we were able to nail the Texas Trinity down, then we're like, okay, let's play a little bit.
I think it says a lot about your commitment to cooking great food that you really wanted to nail the barbecue first.
Yeah.
You know, get that right.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
impressive.
Because, I mean, every other dish that we do, for the most part, it stems from, you know, traditional cooking methods. Most of it's traditional cuts of meat. We're not, you know, trying to cook something out of the ordinary. It's just...
We always say it should be something that you can relate to. We're not trying to go way off the wall. We're trying to give you something that you're familiar with, but put our spin on it.
Yeah, put flavors that we grew up eating. I mean, growing up in Houston, it's so diverse.
Where there's actually pureed kimchi in here, which is really kind of what took it to the next level. It was good before, but I kept telling Kui, I was like, it's just
Needs
not right. It
something, a
needs something. It
punch.
needs, of course, you can add kimchi, but then I thought that would be unappealing to some people. So I said, well, if I put it in there and they don't know it's there, that's the way to go.
Do you feel like there's a steep learning curve with some of your dishes?
When we opened, yes. I think now, 3 years later, or going on 4 years, if we put it on the menu here, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I think that we've educated our customers, and I think, and the barbecue community has become a lot more open-minded in the last few years. I'm sure from your last season to now, you see the transition of what people are doing in barbecue. And it's awesome. It's awesome to be a part of that. It's awesome to see like barbecue go like this to this to this.
I love that you can come in here and get traditional Texas barbecue, or you can come in here and really have your mind blown. You guys are doing amazing stuff here.
Yeah, we always pitch to like even newcomers. They're like, hey, it's your first time here, try the Texas Trinity, and then when you're ready to step outside the box, come back and get one of our featured items.
Yeah, take the training wheels off,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel like in the future this will classify, or it does classify as Texas barbecue?
No. It's Houston barbecue.
Yeah, we like to say Houston barbecue.
We always say that.
Yeah,
we always
Houston
say that.
barbecue.
The
We're going to have to change our logo.
Yeah.
Because I think in Houston, everything is a lot more accepted because the diversity is already here. So I think that we can get away with it here and then show people that it can work and it can be okay. Then I think that'll help spread outside of Houston.
And I love it. I mean, we're glad to be a part of it, and
It's a great community.
I'm glad
Honestly.
that you're a part of it.
I can't stop eating this.
Putting this right here.
So far, we learned some new school cooking techniques and got our fill of fusion. But I still wanted to find out how innovations beyond the pit are carrying Texas barbecue into the future. So we headed to Graham Land and Cattle in Gonzales. Josh, thank you so much for having us. We are super excited to be here. So what exactly does a feed yard do? Are they all kind of like this?
Yeah, so the things that we do here, really affect the quality of the meat at the end. So the feed yard, you have cow-calf, you have feed yard, and then the grocery store. So the feed yard is the last stop before that steak hits the grill.
Basically what they're doing here is making sure that you get that great marbling, that quality on that beef that we can enjoy at grocery level.
Low stress handling, the kind of feed that we feed them every day, really making sure that the cattle are well fed and well watered.
How many cattle do you have here?
So right now we've got about 22,000 head.
And how do you keep track of them all?
So we have an ear tag that's unique to this feed yard, unique to each animal. So every animal has an animal ID tag, and then we're also using some RFID tags. So that helps us be able to track those animals without having to get close to them.
This is a pretty big operation. How do you all make sure that you're caring for every single animal?
We do that by the help that we have out here. The co-workers of mine and the guys that I work with every day, they're ensuring the health of these cattle, the nutrition to land management. This is an outdoor sport.
I feel like if I had a nutritionist looking after me, I'd be in premium shape too. Smells like yeast.
It does.
In this particular ration, there's going to be brewer's grain, cottonseed hulls, rice bran, and a little bit of flake corn. We have a nutritionist that we work with every single month that helps us to formulate these rations that are specific to the cattle that we're trying to feed.
So this is a real science that y'all are doing here.
Scientific, but it's kind of an art, right? So we have a bunk reader that reads these bunks twice a day. And so he's going to look and make sure that the cattle have eaten all the feed for that first feeding. And if they haven't eaten all that feed, then he's going to feed them a little bit less at that next feeding.
Where are you sourcing this from?
So this brewer's grain comes from Carbach Brewery in Houston.
Okay.
And we get that product fresh from that plant almost every single day.
Why can't we eat?
Yeah, so simply,
Do you want to?
I do. It smells.
you know, a simple way to put that is they have 4 stomachs, right? They have the ability to digest plant-based products that humans can't digest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So basically, they're big magical recycling machines because you're taking all this stuff that we can't use and using it to create premium quality beef.
Right. Right. Something that tastes good instead of all this
That's
byproduct.
magic. That's just straight magic.
I love
Well, that's the cattle.
recycling.
That's the
Yeah.
cattle. Cattle are magic. That's why we're here. We talked about you know, the byproducts that we feed these cattle, and we recycle a lot of things. And so, you know, we looked at a Karbach truck actually unload the brewer's grain out there. So, you know, those guys kind of come full circle where they actually raise cattle that they send to us, and we feed them that grain, and then those cattle go back into their restaurant. Another thing that we recycle out here is the manure, right? So we don't have any commercial fertilizer, and we make our own fertilizer every day.
Oh, it comes full circle.
It does.
That's awesome. Beautiful.
Better doing my
All right,
work.
cheers, guys. Our hunger for creativity and innovation wasn't over yet. We had one more stop at a colorful new barbecue joint in San Antonio. Curry Boys serves up surprising flavors out of one of the tiniest ordering windows in Texas.
Howdy. Y'all grab a table and we'll bring some food right over, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
That was quite an introduction. I love this area, this space. It's super cute.
It's such an unusual pink for a barbecue
I know.
restaurant. I mean, come on.
Whoa.
This looks amazing. Okay, tell me what you have served us here.
Awesome. Here we have button mushrooms in green curry, smoked Texas prime brisket in green curry and jasmine rice, curry cream corn, cold chili garlic noodles with crispy chili oil, and a mint and cucumber herb slaw, house pickles, and extra house-made chili oil.
This looks incredible.
This is so different than anything I've seen barbecue-wise.
So, me too, but I'm not mad about it.
No! How did you guys even meet and get started with this?
To be honest, it was out of sheer boredom. We have another restaurant that does Asian food, and he has a couple other barbecue restaurants. And during the pandemic, everything had to close down, and we were kind of just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. And we had messaged Andrew saying, hey, do you think you'd want to fire up some of your barbecue, some of your brisket, and pair it with one of our really popular curries? And we kind of mixed and matched a couple different things, and we did a contactless order online pop-up drive-through, and the reception was fantastic, and then kind of just all went from there.
It was also for us, you know, we hadn't been doing what we love to do for a little while. And if the pandemic had never happened, honestly, I don't know if Curry Boys would be here, because we're all kind of, you know, you go through the motions and you're so caught up in what you're doing. But when you kind of have a moment, a forced one at that, but it was definitely like a blessing in disguise for sure.
It's not like you tried to pivot, it's just that you wanted to come together because you had this great idea for food, and the best food is always born from that genuine drive to like test new things.
Curiosity.
Exactly. I have had a lot of, I think, cuisine where people try to sort of mix two different cultures together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just feels like it doesn't really work, like they're resting on their laurels. But this works. And, you know, you do use brisket in other cultures, like in pho, for example. Yeah. I just think this is such a great complement, these flavors together. And I never would have thought about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think, like, you know, the idea of Curry Boys is really about not trying to force a fusion. You know, I think that word, the connotation is like, oh, it's this forced mix of things. For us, this was very much just an experience of being Asian, living in America, like growing up, cooking with my mom. That really is collectively our experience as Asian Americans. And so that's kind of what we wanted to show in a bowl.
So it's your food.
Absolutely.
By growing up, my parents, we only ate barbecue or Vietnamese food. And for me, like, this is very natural, yeah.
These guys are Texan, you know, so like I think like this, like it's Texas. It's just their version of Texas barbecue.
It makes sense to me, though, if you look at the history of Texas barbecue, you have German and Czech immigrants using their techniques of smoking on meat. It just completely makes sense to then throw that to the next generation of different cultures that are here.
Yeah. So you have your own barbecue restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
How does the meat preparation and the smoking in those restaurants differ from this brisket?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, when were first kind of testing the menu out and going over everything, we had talked about, do we want to treat the proteins any differently than we typically do? And ultimately we decided that, you know, we don't, kind of going back to not making it fusion, you know, we really wanted to keep it Texas barbecue. And so we decided, at least on the protein side, to keep things exactly the way that they're always done. So this brisket is just the way that I serve it at my restaurant. Salt and pepper rub, good post oak, clean burning fire, and just low and slow barbecue. What we really wanted to get innovative with it, though, was by bringing in the curry and kind of take the curries that they normally make and then kind of adjust those to complement the flavors of the barbecue a little bit. Because the brisket's gonna be super smoky and pretty salty. So you needed the curry to kind of be able to balance a lot of those different flavors.
I'm just super impressed with what y'all have done in such a short amount of time. What would you say your next goals are for Curry Boys?
Maybe look for a bigger spot.
Yeah, definitely. And then, you know, we could expand the menu, come up with some new items to incorporate.
And then the Curry Boys can become Curry Men.
I've been so inspired by the creativity of these restaurants, really pushing the envelope on what Texas barbecue can be.
Yeah, we've had some really unique dishes. I was in love with the brisket smoke show at Curry Boys, and I have never had a beef belly spring roll like we did at Blood Bros.
Oh, that was so good. I loved at Loro how they're taking those chef techniques and kind of pairing them with those classic Texas barbecue flavors.
One of my favorite experiences thus far, though, has been at Graham Land & Cattle, because it's been really cool to see how they care for the animals and how that impacts the quality of food.
I've had so much fun with you on this new school journey through Texas barbecue, and I can't wait to see where BarbeQuest takes us next.
Let's see.